Welcome to Not So Sweet, our examination of the murder for hire case of Welcome to Sweetie Pie's star and alleged mastermind Tim Norman. You know what they say, follow the money. So we'll be kicking this off with a look into the life insurance.
So sweet, so sweet.
Up first, the players. James Timothy Norman, age 41, occupation, restaurateur of Sweetie Pie's soul food restaurants. Charge, conspiracy to commit murder for hire, plus conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. He is currently in custody and is being represented by a public defender. Then there's Wael Yagnam, age 42, occupation, insurance agent and former producer for hip-hop artist Nelly. Charge, conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. He is currently out on bail and is being represented by Neil Bruntrager of Bruntrager and Billings, PC. And finally, there's Andre Montgomery, the victim, who was 21 years old at the time of his demise. Restaurateur Tim Norman, aided by insurance agent Wael Yagnam, was issued a $450,000 life insurance policy on his nephew Andre Montgomery. However, several applications were submitted and all three contained false and contradictory information. Application number 1. On October 14, 2014, Andre Montgomery's 20th birthday, Norman and Yagnam completed an application to Americo Financial Life and Annuity Insurance Co. for a $250,000 life insurance policy on Montgomery. The application was signed by both Norman and Yagnam, listing Norman as the sole beneficiary. Application number 2. Approximately 2.5 weeks later, on October 31st, Norman and Yagnam completed a second application to the Independent Order of Foresters for a $450,000 policy on Montgomery. This policy consisted of $200,000 in life insurance, a $200,000 accidental death rider payable should the insured die of something other than natural causes, and a $50,000 10-year term rider payable should the insured die within 10 years of the date of issuance. This application was also signed by both Norman and Yagnam, listing Norman as the sole beneficiary. The policy was issued on November 6th, approximately 1 week after the application was submitted, while the first application with Americo was still in a pending status. In December 2014, Norman and Yagnam withdrew the first application with Americo. According to the indictment, Americo representatives attempted to contact Norman and Yagnam via email and phone over the course of a month with questions regarding the application, namely, the reason why Montgomery could not own the policy instead of Norman. Application number 3. 4 months after the $450,000 policy was issued by Foresters and 1 year before Montgomery's murder, Norman and Yagnam completed a third application to Royal Neighbors of America for a $249,999 replacement policy on Montgomery. This application did not require a physical since it was under $250,000. The application was signed by both Norman and Yagnam, once again listing Norman as the sole beneficiary. It was denied. Now let's examine application inaccuracies and discrepancies. Income. All three applications reported different annual incomes for Montgomery in the amounts of $100,000, $28,000, and $50,000, also listing Norman as his employer. However, according to a housing application submitted by Montgomery, his employer at the time was a company named Tobacco Road, where he made $7.25 per hour. Working full-time at this wage would net Montgomery earnings under $16,000 a year. Also, at least 2 of the applications listed his net worth at $200,000. Please keep this number in mind for an upcoming edition of Not So Sweet, where we look at motive. Health. One application indicated Montgomery was not under the care of a physician, while the other 2 reported he'd recently received checkups. It was discovered that he was never seen or treated at the clinic listed on the application to Royal Neighbors. Personal info. On at least one application, insurance agent Yagnam signed an attestation stating he, quote, personally reviewed the ID of the proposed insured, end quote. This seems highly unlikely since Montgomery's height on application number 1 was listed at 5 feet 7 inches and not 5 feet 11 inches as shown on his Missouri ID. Application status. The second application to Foresters stated there were no other life insurance applications pending, but as mentioned before, the Americo application was withdrawn after the Foresters policy of $450,000 was secured. Now here's the bombshell. Family history. At least one application stated that Andre's father and Tim Norman's older brother was 42 years old, healthy, and alive. Due to the success of the family's TV show Welcome to Sweetie Pies, it's common and verifiable knowledge that Andre Montgomery Sr. was killed nearly 20 years prior in or around 1995. Also, if he were alive at the time of the application, he would have been around 53 years old, not 42 as listed on the application. Per court documents, the third application in March 2015 appears to be the last submitted. With that being said, we'd like to note that all parties are innocent until proven guilty, but we've got to admit the contradictory information and the blatant lies are just sketchy at best, and it left the glove box team with these following questions. What was in it for Yagna? He's only charged with conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud, but was he also a part of or at least aware of the actual murder for hire plot? Is commission enough money to push through fraudulent applications? Was he paid up front or promised additional funds on the back end? Was this his first time at the rodeo, or should other policies submitted by him be investigated? Especially since his social media handle, up until recently, was probably scheming. As in probably scheming, like a scam? Why so sloppy? Why are these applications all over the place and glaringly inconsistent? Where are the checks and balances? What was the purpose of the replacement policy? Was some sort of clause discovered that caused the duo to shop for another option with a different company? We'll look into these concerns and more as we follow the case. I am Miss KDP to you, and Not So Sweet Murder for Hire has been brought to you by Glovebox Arts and Entertainment. Discuss in the comments below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2. In the meanwhile, be big, be bold, be outside the box.